X Factor Youth. I'm part of the X Factor Youth. Put me on stage, you can find me in the book. Put me on a track like I'm stuck inside a booth. I'm that nigga, young nigga with the truth. Black body with a Jewish mindset flow. Black man with a lot of grind, I know. Inside I go, my mind's on though. I hide my mode, need blind my bro. Never ever did they realize my bro. Grown man making niggas cry, my bro.
Greetings and salutations, your excellencies. It's your boy once again, Mr. Bliss CBF from the X Factor Youth. I'm here with an amazing guest. I've waited months for this, right? So bear with me. So this particular person really gave birth to what X Factor Youth is today. She doesn't really know it, but now this is where she gets her flowers. So without her organization, X Factor Youth wouldn't be what it is. So for me, I look at this person as a mentor. I look at her as a teacher, as a mom, as a truly extraordinary person. I always joke with my fellow brother, Sizwe, if you're watching this, I always say that she is the Black Mother Teresa. And then we're like, no, Mother Teresa was the white her. I'm not going to say the name yet, but without further ado, my queen, my mentor, Madam Mary Mlambo. How are you doing?
Wow. I'm well, and you, Bliss?
I'm good.
What an introduction.
Thank you. And I had to. It's important what you do. And I feel like I just had to give you your flowers because I don't say it often, I know. But it's your moment now. So I had to make sure that I do it right.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm great, as always. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I mean, It's my birthday, and I'm with you for my birthday.
Of course. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Blessings
you so
beyond
much.
measure.
Thank you. I really, truly appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
And now the X Factor Youth gets a chance to see the person that kind of made me. You know, I think I always tell people that, I've been to Germany or whatever, but they do not know who sent me to Germany. And that person is you. So you can give us an introduction. I know you don't really like talking about yourself much, but how would you like us or the viewers to know Madam Mary Mlambo?
So, you mentioned Mother Teresa. And I know somebody once said, hey, you are the modern day Mother Teresa. I'm like, no. I'm the modern day Mother Mary. She's not here. She's gone. So it's my time. It's me. So I'm Mother Mary. One day people will say there was Mother Mary, not modern day Mother Teresa. So I'm Mary Mlambo, born and bred in Soweto, White City. Grew up in White City. If anybody knows White City, then you will know where I come from. But with time and, life changes, things evolve, and I found myself in Richards Bay since 2012.
How did you find yourself there?
So I went to Richards Bay. Let me tell you how the journey started. So my husband and I loved traveling. And, at some point we were like, where can we go for holiday? So we had been to almost every small city in South Africa. And then he was like, let's go to Richards Bay. I'm like, what goes on in Richards Bay? It's an industrial little town. But because his cousin was there, he said to me, well, they've got a nice beach. It's a beautiful little town. I'm like, nah, all I know of Richards Bay is industrial. Then he says, well, my cousin is there. Let's go see. If there's nothing interesting, at least we'll get to visit my cousin. So that's how I found myself in Richards Bay in 2010, I think. 2011? No, 2010. That's how I found myself in Richards Bay. And we were in town at some guest house. Then when we drove through the village to go visit his cousin, I saw a very sad state of affairs in the little village of Mzingazi. When we drove past, you see young people walking around. It was during the day, in a weekday. There's a lot of young people walking around, some holding little children, some pregnant. Every second street corner, there's a tavern. And I had to ask questions like, what goes on in this town? And the wife to the cousin, who's a teacher in one of the primary schools, she said to me, well, this is what Mzingas is about. Hopelessness, a lot of young people that don't really have ambition, don't have anything to do, challenges that they come across in school, in primary school. It's really sad what children go through. And then I was like, okay, is there any way that I can speak to some young people? So through connections, a lady organized about 13 young people. And I found myself sitting in somebody's rendezvous who loaned us their rendezvous. We were sitting there chatting to these young people. And the question I asked is that, what is going on? And they said, we are bored, we've got nothing to do. And like, what do you want? They said, we wish we had some place where it could be our own space as young people. So that's when I was like, okay, I've got an idea. I am going to build a youth center, which will be a resource center for the youth in Mzingas. That's how it came about.
Yeah. And then what was the process like to actually getting to build that center?
So the whole process was not an easy one. It was very difficult. I need to say that when all of that happened, I was still working. And 2011, I think. I might be mixing up the years. But I went to Ghana on a work conference. So I was a trainer for one of the other organizations that I volunteered for. So I went to Ghana to do some training. And while I was there, you know when you go to a country where you're going to facilitate a workshop, in the evenings, everybody goes home and you stay alone in the hotel. So I was there with the director of the organization, may his soul rest in peace, Mr. Kwame, who was a good friend as well. So, and then we went for a walk and we went to pray. And he said to me, you look very deep in thought. What are you thinking about? I said, there's this thing going on in the village of Mzingazi, and I've got a job, and it's a town I don't even know, and I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And he said to me, well, just pray for guidance, which I did. And when I came back, I did not think twice. I resigned, because had I left it and say, I'll think about it. So I resigned from work, and you have a meeting with the family and saying, you know what, life is going to be different, because now we will not have two incomes. There will now be only one income, which means we have to pitch some things in our lifestyle a bit lower than where we had pitched. Because, you pitch your lifestyle at a certain point, a certain level. So things had to change around. And moving to Mzingas, it was a challenge. You're not from there. You are basically foreign. You've got a different accent, because I come from Soweto, I come from Gauteng, so I've got a Gauteng accent. My isiZulu is not up to scratch, and people frown, like, who are you? What do you want? And, you talk to people, you say, okay, because the first start was starting with a kindergarten, with a creche, ECD, I don't know what you call it, where you say to young people, you can go back to school. We'll assist looking after the children for you. Excuse me. And then people are like, what do you want? So part of the biggest challenge that I came across in the beginning was that I did not have a place to work from. I worked from I rented a room, one room, 4x4, one room. That's where I stayed. So, and I had like a 2-plate hot plate stove. So that's where we cooked for the children and everything. And then we would take the food to the container where we worked. So we worked in one little container. So there was a lady who had 2 children, 2 young children. One was a newborn, like the baby was brought to us when she was 2 weeks old. And then, of course, you report to the authorities and everything. And the social worker says, every time we want to see this child, can we find the child during the day, by the way, because in the evenings the child would go home. Can we find this child at your place? I'm like, sure, no problem. the situation at home was not very kosher. I think my mistake, without realizing that I was making a mistake, is that I said to the lady, which is the grandmother of these two children, I said, a friend of mine had said, should you be looking for somebody to adopt this child, she's willing to take the child. Oh my God. No. Big mistake. I didn't know that. So when the social workers came, a few months down the line, because I really looked after this child. Every time I came home, remember I just left corporate. So every time I came home, I would ask for donations. So I would get nice, beautiful, some new clothes, formula, food, everything for the children. Multivitamins, everything you can think of for the baby. So a few months later, when the social workers came to take these children, the baby, to take care to a foster care or where she could be cared for, temporarily as well, not permanent, the lady went to the Induna and reported me that I stole her child, and she's aware because I had previously told her that my white friends want the child, my white friends in Joburg, so I actually want to go sell the child. I'm taking it under the pretense that the social workers took the child. That was one of the most difficult times of my beginning. So it was a process. It went through we even went for like a little court kind of type of thing, like a kangaroo court in a community hall where people were hurling insults at me, calling me all sorts of names. And then eventually it had to be resolved. I actually never said anything. When you know God and you trust God. I was sitting there in a community meeting and people were talking, and the social worker that took the children said, not the children. They took one child even though there was two. He said to me, don't say anything. I just want, before you can say anything, I just want to have a conversation with the granny of the child. And so he kept on asking questions. And this woman was answering like, didn't we tell you that we will take the child? Yes, you did. Does anybody work at home? Nobody works. Do we have formula for the child? No, we don't have. Didn't Mary help you with the child? Yes, she did. So, when they kept on asking, eventually the Induna and his people were like, what actually is going on here? So they actually had to say, sorry, we realized that there was nothing wrong that you did. You didn't do anything wrong. This woman actually sold us lies. Needless to say, the woman and I today are actually just good friends. Yeah. Because she came back to apologize. After a while, she came back to apologize, and she realized that I was actually helping her, but it was not easy.